Okay, week 4 of the course. It's time to go through some races just for some general program usage. Now today we've basically got two meetings, Dubbo and Tuncurry, neither of which is what you would call fantastic meetings. Dubbo, the rail is out 3 meters from the 900 to the 400. And then true the remainder, so that probably means there's a cutaway. The early track rating was a good 4. As it is now, Unitab hasn't updated the track or the weather details, but we'll assume a good 4 track for the moment. Tuncurry is the other track. Again, no track or weather details at this stage. Again, it says a good 4. Rail in the true position. If we have a look at the day's summary, the meeting summary, basically the best race on the day is probably race 4, where there's 8 runners, and races 6 and 7, which have got fairly big fields. So Tuncurry is a track where they don't race that often, and so it's hard to say whether we really want to be targeting our one race to consider for the day at Tuncurry, but you probably could. Dubbo, on the other hand, the rail's out. Generally it's not best if you can find a track where the rail is in the true position, so we've got a bit of a quandary here. So we'd have to be looking at Dubbo though as a slightly better track, slightly better known, but again it's 50-50 and half a dozen of the other. So here the better races are probably races 5, 6 and 7, and for no particular reason we're going to go for race 6, which is benchmark 58 over 1610. So again the extra 10 meters because the rail's out. So without wasting too much time, we'll get into it. Race 6. Now the thing that I've been highlighting lately is these sectional ratings. Now on these weaker tracks, a lot of the races they don't have sectional times, so we're still back in the 19th century where we don't even have sectional times on every track, and so that makes it a bit more tricky. The only thing you can assume is that the tracks where there are sectional times are stronger than the tracks where there are not. Now this is just an assumption which works most of the time, but not all the time. Going through the details very quickly on this race, it's a 1610 metre race, 5-year-olds plus, average age 6.5, so it's basically the old stages. 58 is the top rating and 51 is the average. $22,000 prize money, lots of starts, very slow, very low at least win strike rate, 9%, 32% places. So in other words they're pretty consistent horses without being very good at winning. Down the bottom we have more information. There's 13 starts. There aren't any that are first up. The pot rating 7.5. Basically this is saying the higher the value, the more likely the favourite will get beaten, but again, like everything in racing, it doesn't always apply. The weight range is 9 kilograms, so in other words the top rated horses are not as well in this race as they could be with a 9 kilo range. There are 10 male horses and 3 female horses. Looking at it, you would think the male horses would win based on those numbers. So we can look at a couple more basic details. Good idea to have a look at the graph, see if there's any ratings that stand out as being anomalous, particularly huge. Something Borrowed has got a win last start. If you put your mouse over it, you can see the details for a few seconds. That was on a soft 7 at least. Pretty much around the same as that, so there's nothing really anomalous here. Lucky Elixir looks like it's on a bit of an up at the moment and has run a whole lot of these placings, so you could possibly look at this and say this horse is going to improve. It's got barrier 11 and 27 days off, so whoever the trainer is hasn't really given it its best opportunity here. This horse is racing well. These ratings is hard to say, and these other ones are getting lower, smaller. Scrolling down to the bottom, we have the old Trust Me, who's got some fairly low ratings and has been running places but not even getting ratings, so good question on that. The other thing to look at quickly is the gear changes to make sure there's nothing incredibly different. So here George 2's got concussion plates on the front. Generally speaking, you don't want to be backing a horse that's got concussion plates. Okay, but that's not to say you can't win, but generally speaking, you could put a pen through that horse. So over to the form. Okay, from the top, let's have a look at these horses quickly. Something Borrowed was a 10-year-old. He's won last start at Narromine in a 57. On a wet track, he clearly must be some chance in the race. Well, he's got barrier 13 and 61 kilos. We'll have to fix this up so you can see this more clearly. In a later version, we'll say he's got some chance. Race 2, Lucky Elixir at least, running at Corindi in an open handicap. Now these days we're putting a rough benchmark figure in there to give you some idea of the quality. So this was roughly a benchmark 80 based on the figures, but looking at the benchmark figures here, it was only a 61, so it was a fairly low sort of race that he's running, but he is running consistently of late. Another one with a wide barrier. He's running a couple of wide barrier races there and run places over a distance, so he's probably some sort of place chance here. 27 days off, we're probably going to prefer him. Again, these races that I'm going to do in this series of events, I'm only going to do these on the fly. I'm not going to be like some of those YouTube videos you can watch where they leave out the crucial step, and so you can never reproduce anything. In these races, we're just going to go through on the fly, as if to say there's no previous preparation, which means by the time the race comes around, you may decide to back some horse completely different, but again, this is the preamble or the pre-race work. So let's keep going. Race horse number 4 at least, Living Choice. Again, it's been running pretty well over a similar distance, 55.5. It's now gone up to 59.5. It's another one with a wide barrier. Must be some chance, but again, it's going to find it a bit tricky. Number 5, Net Effect. Another one that's been racing consistently. Hasn't got as wide a barrier and has a similar weight to last time. Slightly weaker race. This must be some sort of chance. Again, this one's had 21 days off, so all these horses, they're all a little bit older, can't handle the racing as much, it would seem, and so they are making it a little bit more muddied than normal. We'd have to say it would be some chance. Voyagers did win a race at Muswellbrook, a maiden. Now generally I don't like backing horses stepping up in class too much, so as a general rule this horse won its maiden in this same preparation, and it looks like its form is tapering off, so I would be tending to prefer this one. Mishani Istana is racing in very good form in weaker races, and it could run well, may not. It has to be some sort of chance based on looking at its current form. Does have a 3 kilo apprentice who rode it last time to win, so some chance. George 2 is another one racing handy and finishing close up at least from wider barriers. Today's got barrier 1, so certainly with a second over the same distance, half a kilo less in the middle of probably a slightly weaker event on a Saturday. It has to be some chance. Another one with 20 days off. Malibu Stacy ran well. 2 starts here over 1600 metres, both on a Saturday, then moved to a arguably stronger race at Scone and had a bad barrier. Pretty much you can discount that last run and go on those previous 2 wins, which I guess were okay. 21 days off again, must be some sort of chance. Unresolved racing pretty well with the last start placing, has got a win at Dubbo in a similar type of race with slightly less weight when racing handy, and does have a good barrier. This has to be some chance as well. Percussions on the 3-day backup. Generally we don't like horses on a quick backup unless it's over a distance. This is 1600 meters, so it's kind of line ball. We'll prefer on the backup. Talk of the Town won a much weaker race at Dubbo. Tuesday, Melbourne Cup Day. Okay, make a note of Melbourne Cup Day. Any of these non-TAB meetings where these horses ran, it's pretty weak, so we can eliminate this one with a fair degree of confidence. Huss and Shout's been running at Cowra and Warren in pretty weak races. It is racing well, has a bad barrier, so that should finish it off, you would think. Trust Me Bill is another one racing very consistently, lots of places, has got a good barrier. This is the sort of horse that could bob up and run a place, but again we've got lots of other chances in the race that do appear better. So we'll eliminate it. Again, another one coming from Melbourne Cup Day. Did run okay the next start at Orange, but well, we can't take them all, so we'll chuck out Trust in Bill as well. He'll probably come up and knock us off. So there we go, we've gone through the basic preamble. We have a look at the worksheet. Now you can sort this according to chances. So here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with some chance. So in other words, we haven't exactly eliminated a lot of the field. And based upon this so far, I would be saying give this race a miss. However, we are doing this as an exercise. Certainly if you are planning to have your last on a race, this is not the race to do it on. So anyway, this recording is already 12 minutes, so we'll move on to another recording to go over the summary. So see you on the next one.